Happy Monday and welcome to the Day One Podcast. I'm Adam Daly and my co-host Brett Nord is somewhere off on a sweet vacation. So I'm joined today with one of our iOS developers, Johnny.
Hey everyone.
How's it going, Johnny?
It's going great.
Johnny Hicks joins us today because he's got some stuff to tell us about updates that are coming down the pipeline, and we're excited to share those with you. They're coming very soon, from what I understand. We're just kind of finalizing a lot of things and making sure it's ready for production, testing, beta testing. Yeah. So those of you who are on the beta, make sure you're testing all of those updates that keep coming out through test flight. So we'd love to get your input and make sure that it is a clean release. That's what we strive for. We like good, relatively bug-free releases, right?
Yeah, that's what we hope for.
You know, this is a funny thing. Like we never want to release anything with bugs, but sometimes they creep in. But your help in beta testing will make sure that those are relatively few.
Yeah.
So speaking of updates, I just want to give just kind of a heads up, and these may actually be pretty close to being released by the time you're listening to this episode. So we've got 3.2 coming out for iOS, and that's a big update. We've got a lot of stuff in there. I'm just going to pull this up real quick and mention a couple of them. I don't want to give away the farm because that's not fair to us, you know. We want the surprise to come out. But there's a lot of good stuff coming in here. Specifically, and I'm just going to mention this, we'll talk about a little bit more later, but we've got a new watch update coming out. And this is going to be supportive of watchOS 5 and also the new watch sizes in Series 4. So there's a lot of, there's some cool faces that came out in watchOS 5 on the new update. One of my favorites is the infograph. And I put that up there on the help.dayoneapp.com website, so you can go and see screenshots of that. But it's a really cool watch face where you can get a lot of complications going on there. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 complications on one watch face. That's a lot of information there. And what's cool about that is we've built in your recent location, so you can see where you've been, and then go ahead and tap on that to open the app and get right into journaling from your watch wherever you are on the go. So yeah. That's a big one, right? Johnny, you worked on that quite a bit.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that for sure.
I want to give this one away. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for this. But guys and girls and everyone, audio recording is going to be increased to 90 minutes. That's a big deal, I think.
Very big deal.
For those of you who have been using audio recording, it's a great feature. I use it a lot with my children. I think that's a fun way to use it to, keep memories. Just having my little kids talk, really supplements the pictures and text that I add into my journals. So up to 90 minutes now per recording. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no change to the transcription time.
Oh,
still.
yeah.
So it's just the 90 minutes, just straight recording. The transcription is still limited to the 1 minute.
Right. And that's really like, just a cost evaluation. We want to make sure that it's that it works out for everybody. So, but yeah, 90 minutes straight recording, and that's going to be available on the watch, which I think is rad. I tried it out yesterday with one of our other engineers, Murphy, and we just kind of had a conversation while I had it recording on my watch, and then we played it on the phone. It sounded great. Picked it up really well. So it works really well. I'm very excited about that one. What else do we want to say here? The share extension, that one's been updated, and we're working on that one too, where it will be able to support rich text. So you'll be able to put in bullet points and headers and stuff like that right in the share extension. Photos are now stored in full resolution, which will be cool. I mean, a lot of people have been asking for that as well. My favorite one that I'm really excited to tell you about, I've already made an article for it, so if you go hunting for it, you can actually see it. Full screen editing on iPad is going to be available. That's a big deal. I'm really excited about that one because if you're using the iPad in landscape view and you're using the software keyboard, right now you've got a very limited space to write because the timeline view is still on the left side.
Right.
Now, the entry will span the whole way across with full screen view. When you first open the iPad app, you'll see the timeline view on the left-hand side and then the entry view on the right-hand side, and that's pretty much static when you open it up until you toggle the full screen view, right?
Correct.
So that's going to be a great way to view your entries, to type your entries in full screen on iPad. So that's coming in 3.2.
Yeah.
You can't see me right now, but I've got my fist in the air because I'm very excited about that one, and I know a lot of you will be as well. Anything else? Those are some big ones.
Yeah, I think those are the biggest changes.
A heads up, for those of you who do use Text Expander, our integration has been removed from the app itself. Just because they haven't updated their side for a while. But if you have Text Expander installed on your device, you can still use the keyboard to type your snippets in day one. So that's what I would recommend. Make sure you've got the app installed on your device and switch over to the Text Expander keyboard. So, and YouTube, Spotify, Vimeo, all those URLs will now automatically embed into the entries without having to type a space. So that's a big fix for us too. So that's about all we got. That's not all we got. There's going to be a list, so make sure you pay attention not only to our release notes that will be on the App Store when these hit production, but also you can always go to help.dayoneapp.com and search for release notes to see all of those details as well. And I usually try to put in links or a screenshot or two of some of the updates that are pretty big so that you can get information where you want it. So,
yeah.
Anything else? We don't have an interview this week because
No.
Brett's out of town. Brett's on a cruise, and I'm jealous.
We should call him up.
We should let's
him.
FaceTime Brett as he's on his cruise. That would be hilarious. But speaking of, and I want to give everyone a heads up that on the Facebook community page, which you should join if you have not already, we're starting a book club basically, where we're talking about how to improve journal writing, etc. And I believe this month is expressive writing. There's a book that we're reading. So if you go find Lou, he's on the community page. He's the one who has posted about it. You can join in, get the information about that book, and then we're reading it during the month of October, so that in the beginning of November, we'll have a little Facebook Live event where you can join in and talk about, things that impress you about the book, how it's improved your writing, etc., just to help you improve journaling. That's kind of the goal there. So go check that out. And I believe next month, which I'm also really excited about, they're doing a book on gratitude journaling, which is perfect for November, right? U.S. holiday of Thanksgiving in the end of November, so I think it's appropriate. So Anyway, so pay attention to that. I think we were close to 1,000 members of our community now.
Awesome.
And what I love about it, I check in every once in a while and comment here and there, but what I love about it is the users commenting back and forth to each other and helping each other with best practices and how they use the app. Because as I've played with different apps, there's not one app that does everything, right? There's a lot of apps that kind of specialize in different things, maybe more utility ones that have a little broader vision. But, there's some things in day one that you don't have just because that's not, kind of the direction we go. But I've noticed that users will talk about how they do workarounds or, how they improve their use of day one through different ways. And so that's a great place to communicate to each other and get information about just best practices. So I highly recommend it. If you don't do Facebook for anything else, do it for that group. It'll be worth your time.
You can make a fake profile, right?
That's what I do. That's what I did. I'm not officially on Facebook. I have no friends. I literally have no friends. I do it so I can pay attention to the group. Actually, I think Brett is my friend because we were trying to do a Facebook Live thing, test it out. So I have one friend. Brett's my friend.
Fair enough.
All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes and talk about, or if you're vegetarian, tofu and potatoes, right?
Sure.
I want to talk about some of the new features that Johnny has personally worked on, and just kind of get some insight on how we use those. How I can improve my use of Siri Shortcuts. So let's start there. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Siri Shortcuts, brand new thing, came out in iOS 12, and it allows you to integrate with Siri for simple commands that you can just go ahead and launch into the app, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about how to use them, what they are, etc.
Yeah.
Or let's start there. What they are, how to use them.
Yeah, for sure. So, again, as Adam is saying here, this is a really exciting time of year to be a developer with the launch of new products, new hardware, and new software. And as a company that loves to innovate, we're excited when we get these new opportunities to build and work with the stuff that Apple is providing. So
Yeah.
Siri Shortcuts is one of these new ones where you can essentially just create a shortcut that will take you to a specific spot inside of your application. And so what we've added is in our settings pane, you can go to your Siri Shortcuts and you'll have options to create a shortcut to take a photo or an audio or to create a new entry into a specific journal.
And it basically jumps right in there, right?
It jumps right in. Yep. So if you say, record audio, then, and you've set that as a shortcut with Siri, then she'll open up that journal and start an audio recording right there.
Yeah. So basically what I'm looking at here in the settings pane, I open it up and it shows me all of the journals that I have available in the app right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got 3 options in there to start with the camera, audio, or just plain text. When I tap on that, it opens up this other window where I get to record a custom phrase. And that can be anything, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's not interfering with maybe another phrase I've recorded, right?
Yeah. And Siri will tell you if you already have an existing phrase.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then it gives you a suggestion here. It says you can say something like, I've opened up the photo one here. It says add a photo to journal. So when I say, hey, Siri, add a photo to journal, she'll jump right in, start with the camera library app, library view of my photos, right? And just get me right in there.
Yep.
Wow, that's cool. So what's kind of the benefit of that? It's just saving time, getting in there, or what?
Yeah, I mean, definitely saving time. We had worked on integrating Siri into Day One, I don't know, about 6 months ago. But Siri's capabilities were not yet where we wanted them to be, because when you wanted to integrate Siri into your application, it usually had to be some sort of predefined intent that Apple has created, like a list app or a notes app. And so we felt like, Day One sort of falls under this notes idea or creating a note intent. And so we had set up Siri so that you could say, create a note in Day One. But that often conflicted with the notes app. And so she'd say, okay, creating a note in Day One. And the note would literally say in Day One.
That's not
and so we spent a bunch of time getting Siri working with Day One, but it was so limited, and it was maybe worked 50% of the time. So we decided to pull the plug on that. And then during WWDC, they announced all of these changes with Siri and being able to add your own phrasing to perform certain actions in your application. And so we knew that that's something that we really wanted to do, because we had wanted Siri in the past, but she just wasn't ready.
Not as robust.
Yeah.
And I guess flexible in what we needed it to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one example, and I think I shared this 2 weeks ago, but there was one user who mentioned on Twitter that they use it. They have a grocery journal, right, where they capture, like grocery lists, and then at the end, they'll usually take a picture of their receipt and post it in that entry, right?
Yeah.
So now he's got a shortcut. He says, hey, Siri, I'm done shopping. And it automatically jumps into his journal with the camera open. So he can just snap a picture of the receipt and bam, he's done.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a really cool idea, really innovative. It's definitely unique to him and what he wants to use it for, but, that's the flexibility of it. I can do whatever I want as far as that goes.
And I think one of the biggest ideas behind this was to be able to make audio recording hands-free.
Oh, yeah.
That if you're driving in your car, you can initiate that audio recording to your journal without actually having to touch your phone, right?
Brilliant.
We don't want people looking down at their phones, but they may want to record something as they're driving home. Well, now with Siri Shortcuts, we've been able to allow users to do that, to create an audio recording hands-free. Yeah.
Oh, I often have shower thoughts in the car on my commute home. You know what I mean? So that's a cool opportunity. Will that maybe open the path for like a CarPlay integration at some point, or?
Yeah,
I think I'm speculating, so don't get your hopes up. But I'm just wondering if that is a possibility later on.
Yeah,
because I think that would be kind of neat as cars begin to have that functionality more and more. That would be a really cool way to do it, is just have that in your car.
Yeah,
sweet. And as we mentioned, audio recording is on the watch as well, so you can do that. Just get right into Day One, tap the audio recording, and start that off. Now, there's a couple of different things. So we've got the Siri shortcuts that we can integrate with our own app, but there's also a shortcuts app. Basically, Apple took over the workflow app and kind of made it their own. They purchased it. And how does that kind of relate to using shortcuts in Day One?
Yeah, so the way that I like to think of it is you've got the Shortcuts app, which again is taking that framework of workflow. And the Shortcuts app is to allow you to do multiple things with one command, right?
Oh, okay.
So you could say, hey Siri, take me home, and she'll find directions on map. She'll maybe text your emergency contact or whatever saying you're on your way and your ETA is 8 minutes, and then start like your drive home playlist, right? So
Nice.
So you can set up these workflows inside of the Shortcuts app that will perform many different functions through many different apps.
I like
right?
that.
And so with day one, we have like a pretty basic integration with the Shortcuts app that allows you to, essentially take text and to throw it into an entry and save it.
Right.
And so what we have, what the Siri shortcuts that we have in the application, those are a little bit different from the shortcuts, like the Shortcuts app, right? Because you have that one command that you invoke and it opens something up in day one.
Yeah.
Where Shortcuts app is stringing together a bunch of different processes that you
Got
want
it.
to have. Yeah.
So there's a little more programming in the Shortcuts app that I would have to do to get like a series of actions going.
Correct.
I mean, I guess I could do one action if I wanted, but I can do multiple ones, and that's kind of the benefit of having the Shortcuts app as well.
Yeah, and for the different shortcuts that you may already have in day one, you can bring those over into the Shortcuts app.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you could say, Siri, I'm on my way home, starts maps, and then she opens up an audio recording entry.
Oh, yeah.
Like
where I can start recording something. Yes. That's awesome. That's so great. I think it just makes, the line between just like technology and just living your life much easier, right? It's I think Steve Jobs used to say that he wanted technology just kind of be an extension of what you are, what you do.
Right.
And I think that really kind of plays to that, just making it a lot easier without, being cumbersome. I can start an audio recording and just have my entry right in there, or jump right into a photo without having to do several different clicks.
Yeah.
What a cool way to do that. I like that a lot. Anything else you want to mention about Siri shortcuts, or?
No, I mean, I think it's just something that we're going to continually refine. And as Siri, as they make changes, we want to be right along with those changes. And, we know that with Siri shortcuts, obviously, however many journals you can have 3 shortcuts per journal.
Right.
If you have 10 journals, you have 30 shortcuts. So every time that you set up a shortcut in day one, in the Siri Shortcuts settings page, you'll actually be able to see what the invocation phrase is for each of those, which is nice because originally when we designed it, we were just going to kind of gray out the box being like, oh, you already have a shortcut set up for that. But then we realized how am I going to remember all of my shortcuts for all of my journals, for all of these cases? So we were able to take the invocation phrase that you give it and replace that on the button so that you can see, and then you can re-record those as you
want to edit those later. But then you could also see what they are, so you don't do the same ones over and over again. I mean, just to avoid that hassle. That's really awesome. And these are also manageable as well in the device settings, right?
Correct.
Like I can go to my device settings and see what those are in there. If I go to Siri and search, I can see my shortcuts and what I've got set up there.
Correct.
And then it'll also show you like different ones that you can set up for different apps. And we won't go into those, but a really cool way to also manage your Siri shortcuts based on a bunch of different things. So
yeah, because what's happening there, and we do it in day one and other apps do it, is essentially our applications are sort of watching what we do. I know that sounds kind of scary, but when we perform certain actions in applications, we are essentially donating an intent is what we call it. We're donating an intent. And we're donating a Siri intent, and so it's information that Siri gets that says this person does this action at this time. And as we do those actions over time, Siri begins to learn, okay, this person likes to write in their journal at 8 o'clock. Okay? And so the different shortcuts that you'll see in the Siri and search in those settings, those are different intents that you have activated as you've been working throughout apps.
Got it.
And as Siri begins to learn what it is that you like to do, she'll begin making suggestions. So you may receive like some sort of notification that says, would you like to write in your journal? Right? If she sees that you're writing in your journal at 8 o'clock every night, you may start receiving a notification from Siri suggesting that that's something that you do.
Awesome.
So
now I get that too when I'm traveling. Like if I go, when I take my kids to school, I get a little notification or a little prompt that says it takes 8 minutes to get to this location.
Yeah.
I always thought that was pretty cool. Is that the definition of machine learning? I mean, is that what we call that, or is that different?
In a way. I mean, there's different ways you could define machine learning.
Okay.
But in a way, Siri is learning about the way that we're behaving and making suggestions accordingly.
Cool.
So,
and that's all private information, though, right?
Correct.
We're not sharing any sort of journal content or anything like that.
no.
Okay.
No way. That's all internal to your local device.
And you know, I personally wasn't worried about that because I think, you know, I speak for everyone here. The data protection is our number one goal. Like you know, your data is private, and that's what we strive for. So that's definitely not something we're sharing with Siri or the phone. It's just kind of the actions that you're doing within it, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. I think that's good to clarify and just have out there.
Yeah.
Don't want people.
So your apps are watching you, but not you know.
Not your content.
Not your content.
That's good.
Just the way that you behave in the app. So
what a cool feature, though. What a way to simplify things and kind of get habits going. And I think that's a great way to have a habit. You know, if you're not using notifications and reminders, but you are kind of keeping that up as a semi-routine, look at those Siri shortcuts and see how you could reduce that for yourself. Let's dive into watch stuff, because I think with the Series 4, for me personally, it just got a lot faster and a lot, you know, I feel like I want to use it more just because it's improved as far as, you know, processing speed, and I love the new faces, etc. What is it that we want to be in that space for on the watch itself?
Yeah. You know, I think with the watch getting so much better, it provides a unique opportunity to journal on the go. Like you talked about in the beginning, right? Is that having our phone with us is always, you know, is something that we always have with us. And it's nice to be able to pull that out and to write a quick entry and whatnot. But journaling takes it to a whole nother level where we can make these quick entries, without having to pull out our phone. Yeah. And so we've been focusing more and more on our watch app over the last few months, as things have been getting better. So we added the activity feed that will allow you to like check into the different locations that you've been throughout the day. Yep. You know, we spent some time working on some complications that integrated with that activity feed, so you can see, you know, what your current location is and how long you've been there. Yeah. I actually find it quite interesting to look at those complications and be like, oh, I got to work at 8:54 today. Yeah. Or, oh,
employers can start tracking you now.
I've been here for 30 minutes. I probably need to go. Right. It's been really interesting to see like when I arrive at a place and how long I've been there. Yeah. And just seeing that like at a glance on my watch. But I think everything that we've been adding to the watch, being able to, you know, we've been able to dictate entries. Yes. And we've been able to like do the little scribble action to create entries. But I think all of that has been building up and culminating to audio recording.
Yeah, for sure. Scribbling is kind of a cool feature, but definitely not for longer entries. Nope. Like I struggle with the scribble, you know. And sometimes my handwriting sucks, and so it's not recognizing the letter that I want. I've got a backspace and go into it, or I need a capital versus a lowercase. Anyway. Yeah.
So I think we were excited to get version 3 of the iOS app out with audio recording. Yes. And then to begin looking towards how can we bring this to the watch, because being able to start a recording on your watch is so much easier. And so just the other day, you know, as I was testing and working on the audio recording for the watch, I was driving with my wife, and I pulled up my watch and hit record, and we recorded a 15-minute conversation on our drive home. And, you know, it seems less invasive than like having a phone and being like, oh, is my phone close enough?
Yeah,
is my phone with me? Whatnot. And so you don't have to be like staring at the watch display and talking into it, because the microphone is going to pick up what's happening in your conversation, what's happening around you. And so I think having it available on the watch is going to make audio recording even more invaluable.
And that's what I noticed when I was recording with Murphy is we were just sitting there in the room, and I wasn't holding it particularly close to myself or him. We were just having a normal conversation at normal volumes, and it did really well at picking up both of us. I think it picked me up a little bit better, but it also picked up him just fine, and I thought that was really great. I think You're absolutely right. And for me, like recording my kids, I can do that now without, it seems like every time I pull out my phone to like take a picture or something, they get camera shy and I'm not, they're not looking at the phone or whatever. And so, I can record them without them really knowing that I'm recording them, and I can get a more natural response, I think. Not that I'm spying. I just want to get real conversations from them,
Sure. Yeah, and I think it really has opened up the window of, of use cases for audio recording. Whether maybe you're going to a job interview and you want to give yourself, you want to listen to it afterwards and get some feedback from some of your friends. Well, now you can go into the job interview. You don't need to pull out your phone and be like, hey, I want to record this. You could just start an audio recording on your watch. There are lots of different use cases where you can capture more moments with this audio recording on your watch and then being able to go into day one and to listen to it. And
does the 1 minute transcription apply on watch?
It's audio recording only, so there's no transcriptions. It's just going to record, and you can record up to 90 minutes on the watch as well.
What kind of transfer? I mean, what can I expect? Let's say I record an 89-minute audio recording. How long is that going to take to save to my phone?
That's a good question. It could take. Yeah, the longest recording I've done has been about 20 minutes, and it took about 4 or 5 minutes to transfer over to the phone. Yeah. So it sends the file up, but then the file needs to process on the phone before it can be saved into the entry. So a 90-minute recording, it could take a little bit, but we've set up some haptics on the watch so that you can finish recording and you don't need to sit there and look at your watch until it saves.
Oh, nice.
We've set up some haptics that as soon as the entry is created, it will give you a little tap saying that the entry has been created.
Oh, okay. So my screen can be dark and that I just go on.
Yeah, as soon as you hit stop on the recording, the file transfer process has begun.
Okay.
And you can go on with your day. So
now, is that the same for recording? Let's say I start the recording and then I just kind of leave my hand there. I don't touch it. It'll still record as my screen goes dark.
Yeah. That's actually one of the when I was building this audio recording, I had to actually build it twice because the first way I was doing it was with kind of Apple's native audio recording SDK, and so I set that up and I was like, oh, look how beautiful it is. It's great. And so I was testing it on my watch, and I was like, okay, well, here I am talking to my watch, and I'm going to put my hand down and walk around and see if it still works. And then when I pulled the watch up again, I saw that my audio recording had stopped.
Okay.
And so the built-in integration that they had seemed to be somewhat limited in the sense that it stopped as soon as the display went dark. So we had to rebuild it in a different way where it would continue to record even when you're not looking at the screen. You can actually press the home button on your watch and go into different apps, or even just go to your watch face, and then in the top where you'll usually see like the little red dot, you'll see like a little recording icon that shows that the watch is still recording.
So it doesn't stop until I hit stop.
Correct.
Don't stop till you get enough, right?
Exactly.
In the words of the late Michael Jackson. That's awesome. That's great. I think that's going to be a big hit. So look for that in version 3.2 on iOS coming out. Hopefully this week is, this will go live on Monday. So be aware of that. Check out all of the updates that are listed there in the App Store. I wanted to talk just for a second here about versioning, because at first we were doing, we released 3.0, and then we moved into we had a couple of 3.0 releases, 3.01, 3.03, etc. And then we go into a 3.1 update, and this was originally going to be a 3.1.2 update, right? So
correct.
Can you elaborate on just kind of the update versioning numbers? How does that go? I mean, I'm learning here too, so.
Yeah. As far as like what needs to be contained in a release for it to get a certain number, there's not really like a hard fast rule.
It's kind of what we say though, right?
Yeah, but it's we feel that for 3.1.2 that would be a sort of release that has some minor fixes and some minor changes. And that's this release was originally going to be 3.1.2. But the iOS team has been killing it lately. Like they've just been closing tasks left and right and getting lots of these features that we were expecting to be more in we were expecting 3.2 to be maybe like a month out. Like
Okay.
there were a lot of features that we wanted to add, but the time frame we weren't sure. So we're like, okay, those will go later. But like I said, the iOS team has just been getting everything done so quickly and been doing so great.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think that also warrants a shout out to our new interns that we have also as well.
Yeah.
Drew and Tyler that have joined our team as interns have also been helping out with a lot of those.
That has helped a ton because we have 4 iOS engineers here, but we got 2 interns, and so being able to kind of spread the load a little bit more has helped us to get a lot more done in faster time. So we started merging in all of these features that we didn't think were going to be available for a while, and we've been able to test them over the last few weeks, and 3.2, and we just felt like, well, this seems worthy for 3.2 right now.
This is a bigger one.
This isn't just a 3.1.2 bug fixes. Like there are those huge changes to the watch, to the iPad, and
increasing audio recording.
Yeah. So we felt like it was worthy of a point release.
Yeah. Got it. I like that. That's something that has been interesting to me, just learning all about the back end and intricacies of software development that I don't, it's not always apparent in what goes into it. You don't see the sausage being made, if you know what I mean. It's all behind the scenes, and all of a sudden our apps just get updated and they're working. We're like, yes, everything's great. But then when you kind of see behind the scenes all the work that has to go into it, you go, okay, yeah, this is why, whatever app has ads or, is a paid app or whatever. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into this stuff. So, did I mention 2.91 on Mac OS?
I don't think so.
I totally breezed right over that. We have got some updates coming in 2.9.1 for Mac coming soon, hopefully around the same time. We're hoping this week we'll have that release available. Yeah. And it's got a bunch of fixes in it. Some updates to the editor to improve that experience. I know there's some, titling issues that were being had. Those will be resolved. And then the bigger 3.0 release is still on the docket. So stay tuned for that. That'll have audio recording in it. That's the plan. So stay tuned for those updates. Yeah. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Oh,
Happy Monday. Happy fall. Fall's like my favorite time of year. I love the weather. And it was rainy like last night. I was so happy. Yeah. All the pictures I can take and the colors changing, Yep. It's just a great time of year. Anyway, I think that's about it for our show today. Thank you for joining us. Tune in 2 weeks. Brett will be back, and we'll have some more interviews with users and get into those again and see how other users are using day one. So thanks for joining us. Johnny, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you.
We always enjoy hearing your perspective and your insight on app development. I learn a lot every time, so thank you. Anyway, have a great week, everyone.